chunk of things I'm going to do are out the pamphlet published by Winsboro. I have copies. Please make my journey home tomorrow easier by buying them, so my bag is less heavy. I am from Edinburgh, but my family, my grandparents' level, comes from the Western Isles, which is that tiny little bit before you hit Canada. So what I did, the series of poems that are in this, the book's called Who Are Your People? And it's about starting off in Edinburgh, going up to the islands on a holiday I did back in 2010, and sort of seeing the two different versions of Scotland that there are there. The obvious poem to read about Edinburgh is the Burke and Hare poem. In Edinburgh graveyards, they say it is best to check new coffins against a counterweight of bark. For too often in the wretched city are the dead turned to tree skin after life. But these black-eyed branches will not bleed when opened under student eyes. For 4 light fingers, callous-skinned and born by the knowledge that what isn't known won't hurt anyone, will remove unripe fruit from under earthy eaves to part for academic silver. And in well-oiled anatomy halls, lectures on the structure of the body will begin with a recitation of the oath. First, do no harm. By smattering of applause, whiskey drinkers in the room.
Yes.
First gig where it's only been women who put their hands up. Lovely interview.
Now we found rum.
For the 2 whiskey drinkers, whiskey pebbles. Do you know what they are? No? Okay. Of course you know. A whiskey pebble is a traditional thing we do because, well, ice is too cold for us up north. So we'll get pebbles, we'll chill them. You put them in whiskey, it chills it without diluting it.
That's cheese.
We are known for our brains up there. Me and my friend, we were up in Newton Moor, which is roughly the centre of Scotland, and we pissed our girlfriends off to no end, aged 25 and 27, by spending 2.5 hours on a beach hunting for the perfect pebble. I still have mine. And this poem is called Whiskey Pebbles, and it is mostly a true story. The day after arrival, take a long walk into the glen. If possible, find a derelict farm. Explore it. Climb the few remaining walls. Discover where the others used to be before the wind took them for sport. Then, go to the edge of the burn. Preferably not long after a rainstorm, you're looking to catch the shimmer where water clings to good pebbles. And you want the good pebbles, though it may take hours to find them. Balance each in your hand. The right one will not weigh too much, will fit snug in the palm, will have kept something of the sun in its skin, but when held in the burn for a moment, comes out with the cool of ice. Take a friend for the walk. Good whiskey is designed to be shared, and finding pebbles is a job for company. They are often found in pairs or triples, so deep pockets are considered essential, as is a sacrifice to the gods of skimming. The water will yield more of its treasure when you offer back to it the first prize pebble you encounter. Freeze them when you get back, and then with the endlessness of stars above, stand together and drink to the memories. Thank you. The reason we went up north, my mum hadn't been up in about 30 years, so she was sort of showing me the parts of the island that she hadn't visited in a long time, or I'd maybe never seen before. So coming back felt very different than getting there. This poem, which is about that, is called Packing Up. The cottage is emptied, the car filled, and the last drive started. As I packed, I found myself with a sense of history I did not bring with me. Like the Bible my grandfather left me, building a bridge between 2 entirely different people in a language we share. It sits on my shelf. I can open it and read, trying to imagine how the words would resonate in his heart. Like all things from the past, it is heavy with dust and spider skeletons. Folded yellow paper marking out the verses that meant the most to him are like signposts in Gaelic to my Edinburgh eyes. And like those Gaelic lines cannot be brushed away, the dust remains between us, the only thing our fingers share in the reading. I hope that in time I will open it and see him, learning verses by rote in youth, can find in me something of that passion, that same inner light he held. Hope I can turn my unused tongue to frame more and more of his words. Kimara, how are you? Clachan, village, Stornavai, Stornaway, Tai. That last one more important than any other, a place I am heading to as much as leaving from. Tai, home. Thank you. The last one I'll read from the book. I do have copies. We came back and it was my aunt and uncle's joint birthday party, and there was a huge group of the family up, and we all had dinner together. And if every single journey I ever have could end like this, I would appreciate it. We have returned from houses to home, from distant ancestry to a true family. Friendships 7 years untouched are moved to life by Highland air. The table has been cleared for the start of a meeting many years delayed. Photographs are shared around, opening memories to new eyes. The talk of dinner is catching up, returning anecdotes and memories like pelican shells, found on beaches combed by so many of our feet. These islands were never too far from home. With dessert, the waves of talk abate, and the table falls into a quiet lull. The calm after the voyage, the returning of loved ones, the silence of good ice cream. Thank you. I am busy prepping my show for this year's Fringe Festival up in Edinburgh. Yay. Which has the title Something Wicked This Way Comes. Last year in National Poetry Writing Month, which is April, you get a challenge to do 30 poems in 30 days. One of the poem prompts was write a poem for children. And the only thing I could think of at work that day was the Tooth Fairy. Because, you know, and it was quite twee and it was quite cute. It was a little fairy, and she got very sad when you stopped losing teeth, and she had a dog called Fang, that kind of stuff. And then afterward I wrote it out, and I got home and I said to myself, collecting kids' teeth, that's fucking creepy. So I rewrote it, and this is called History of the Tooth Fairy. Yeah. He has grown bored waiting for white leaves to fall. At first, he came as pointed shadows, shining under moonlight the first lost tooth night. They hid the fallen in water, knowing he cannot touch what is so clear. He had to change his face because it took so long for them to stop burning what it was that dropped. Children who did not make ash from milk wandered purgatorial, forever in search of missing crowns. He came back with a smile as white as a lie, promised to keep babies safe from shadow floors, a simple protective spell, replacing teeth for flakes of gold, but those first families had no idea what they were paying for. He spoke just enough truth to be a convincing lie, but still plenty less than they needed to know. Each one on crystal shelves is one more child wandering the tunnels of his kingdom, endlessly counting to 20. They say he brings pliers now. He has grown so bored of waiting. shudder you all made?
Yeah.
I did that poem at open mic. Everyone did that, and I went, ooh, that'd make a good show. As an attempt to balance the mood slightly, this poem is entirely fictitious, but I may have accidentally started a rumour that I may have slept with someone in the Edinburgh poetry scene by standing up on open mic and going, "This is your fault," at a girl. God, I wish I had a super injunction. This is called Breath Catcher. There was this girl. Couldn't tell you what she looked like anymore, but I remember the way her neck slid into her shoulders. How I hung my thumb on her collarbone and let my fingers find her breast like I was trying to remember why we ever decided clothes were a good idea. And I remember the song of her voice, the way she made space for vowels not often seen here in this beachfront city with dreams of being a lake. Whenever she opened her mouth, she was singing, no matter what she thought she was doing. And I remember it like it was tomorrow, 6 years ago, when I was waiting at her door with a bottle of whiskey and 2 empty notebooks. I told her to fill hers with whatever she heard in my shadow, whatever she saw when I thought she wasn't looking at me. And when I think of the way she said my name, which she did rarely, like softly, like she was worried she would bruise it against her teeth, it sounds like how bees remember where the honey is. She echoed in me, found a way to make my bones hollow, my chest an organ for the silence of her breathing. Or, more accurately, she made me a breath catcher for the breath she couldn't keep in her chest those nights when we decided that words were a really poor way of communicating. I knew what she was thinking, but listening to the sound of her spine becoming shoelaces that I untied with fingers lingering down her back. What was shared that night was less bodies, more the ache of nearly, the understanding of how much space there could actually be between. Fingers touched lips softly, a graze of prints against lips moist from nimble tongue. Stroked skin with effortless patience, building tension in every muscle. Watching backs turn into bridges, fingerprints echo in her skin, like the touch of hands suddenly on skin. Warm skin, skin not normally seen, her map rolled out on the bed for a new explorer. Feeling for the undercurrent, the body electric, that old magic, blood and hearts and skin accepting of new fingerprints and heat. Always heat, just enough to warm, without ever setting fire to the bed, no matter what sparks we kept passing in our eyes. Thank you. You've all come to a poetry show. You get that poets are rock and roll stars, basically. Easiest way to get rich and famous. Although I will acknowledge, it's not coming as fast as I want it to, honestly. So I've taken a stance on this. And in order to become famous, I'm going to gift the English language a new collective noun. I have a series here. Whichever one you like, go forth, use, constantly, credit where credit is due, and we'll get one in the dictionary at some point. This is called collections. A metaphor of poets, a sequence of mathematicians, a cut of butchers, a pint of brewers, a bullshit of wine experts, a speculation of psychics, a conference of feather songs, a heaviness of eyelids, a blindness of woods, an abruptness of haiku, a general irritation of toddlers, a linger of peppermints, a crawl of babies, a chatter of dentists, a melted clock of surrealists, a conspiracy of taxi drivers, a pyramid of cheerleaders, a standard distribution of statisticians, an irrefutable ontological proof of logicians, a grappling of bra clasps, a fumble of buttons, a rustle of crisps, a narrative of scars, a clusterfuck of orgies.
That's like a crime one, isn't it? That's the same thing.
A congregation of churches, a belief of gods, a silence of stages, an applause of audiences. This will be the last thing I read tonight. Somehow I flunkingly won a slam, and that meant I got to compete in the Scottish Nationals competition in February this year. And look, that was lovely, it was great, and it was a nice challenge. And then I went, fuck, I have nothing to perform. So I very quickly wrote a new piece. The context of it will become clear. It is called Astronomy, and it is entirely true. There is a man who folded so much space into his chest, he became a black hole. No longer appreciates the pool of time, feels nothing of near-earth ache, lost all understanding of gravity. Compressed stardust into every flaking bone, stretched tapestries of galaxies across calcium singularities, sees eternities of absence, slowly becoming presence, then receding like a fleeting tide back into star death and silence. When he breathes, he releases nebulae from his lungs, filling the air with the possibility of creation. He carries echoes of first causes and background radiation in his heart, waits for orbits to take him past dying suns before they collapse completely. There is a man made of stars and celestial mechanics, who sees only as far as the curve of space-time allows. He is my father. And I have not seen him since gravity spun him out of 8-year-old hands, and I learned that I cannot hold the solar system in my chest without getting burnt, and he cannot hug a sun when he is not there to see it rise. I suppose his transformation into black holes and asteroid belts is the reason I use fallen stars to light my path. Listen to silence and the heart of midnight, waiting to see if there are any clues in the star songs. I hope the only reason he left is that some stars are destined for supernova, and he didn't want to give so much ash to a child. I found it only when I grew up. You cannot wash that from your fingertips. There is a man who has folded himself into the space between the stars, and I worry I will teach my daughter that the space in her heart is too much for me to bear, but I don't want to leave her orbit. And some stars are destined for supernova. Some are just close enough for life. Thank you very much.